Good morning. It's 10 a.m. on Monday, December 11th, 2023. I call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. If everyone would please rise, Commissioner Fincannon will give our invocation.
Pray with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for another beautiful day. Thank you, Lord, for all your blessings that you cast down on us, Lord. Please, Lord, continue to be with us today as we try to make the best decisions we can for the county, hear the concerns of the counties, and do what we can for them. Another thing, Lord, I would ask, Lord, that you put your hand on our community, on our state, on our whole country, Lord. The negativity nowadays just seems to just keep going on and on, Lord. And I just pray that you put your hand on people and let them realize the positive things that are going on in their life, the positive things that are going on in our community. A lot of times people only look at the negative side, Lord. I just pray that you let your positive outlook come across to everybody. All these things, Lord, we ask for and pray for through your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Join us for the pledge to the U.S. flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Everyone may be seated. Thank you. All right, I don't think we have any presentations this morning. Any last minute ones, Nancy? Okay. All right, which means we will move to public comment. At this time, let's see, what time is it? It's 10:02. During public comment, we ask that everyone keep their comments to 5 minutes or less, and we remind anyone who makes public comment that we cannot, as a court, take action on items brought up during this time. So at this time, do we have any public comments?
Judge, I have a comment.
Okay.
Today, you should be able to go to the Texas Communities Group webpage and see 4 properties from Wichita County that we begin to list. They've been vetted through Purdue's affiliate, Texas Communities Group, and so they have 4 sale signs on them, and they're up there for silent or closed bid to be received through that web page. And so if you're interested, they're good properties. They've been appraised, recent appraisal on everything. So take a look at that, and we'll have more to come. So this is just the first of 4.
And how can folks find that, Commissioner?
Texas Community Group.
And just look for Wichita County?
Wichita County, it's an itemized line on the website.
Good deal. I've got one public comment. Just to give everybody an idea of what the schedule is going to look like for Commissioners Court for the remainder of 2023 and then going into 2024. It's a hectic time and things get shuffled around, so just wanted to go ahead and give plenty of heads up. So we have court today. We will have a special session on Friday, the 15th. We will have another regular session on Monday, the 18th. That will be our last Monday court. Then we will not have court again after that until Friday, December 29th. So Monday, the 18th, Christmas is the next week, and then we have a special session on Friday, the 29th, which will likely need to be a voting session for us to be able to pay bills and approve that. And then we will start meeting on Tuesdays, as we will do in all of 2024, on January 2nd. So that's the schedule for the next few weeks for Commissioners Court.
And Judge, let me ask on that note, are we going to have a swearing-in ceremony that would happen at January? Is there a need
I
at
don't
this
think we
time?
have any officials on this one who would need to do that. So no, I don't think we will. All right. Any other public comment this morning? Okay. It is 10:04 and public comment is closed. So now let's move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions or comments or things they'd like to take up? It's on the consent agenda.
I just had a question over item 3.
Okay. That's the City of Wichita Falls reimbursement?
Yes. I think Pat had sent us. Are we, do we only disperse when money's owed?
Yeah, when they send us a bill.
We're not paying on a monthly basis for any kind of yard maintenance or
No.
anything?
One other question I have, Cheryl, on these, on 5 and 6, will that conclude what we owe Service Master?
Yes.
Because I know I've talked to people from there, and they were concerned about the bills dragging out so long.
Yeah, that's been held up by insurance, the insurance adjusters, and so,
Well, I'd just like to publicly, almost publicly apologize to Service Master for the slow pay
yeah.
on that, because that, but when you're dealing with insurance, that is one thing, because the county, we like to pay our bills.
We
don't like
do.
to drag anything out, so.
And we have worked really hard with paying them as we could get approval, so that we weren't sitting on the entire bill. This is the remainder that
There will be nothing else.
the judge and I have worked with them on getting done.
Well, and for that, so the number 6, the $49,000 one, some of that actually I think will end up being reimbursed by insurance, but this is it's for a lot of the unpacking and repacking they've had to done when our adjusters have gone out there, when county personnel have gone out there to look at what we have, in addition to storage of some of the artwork and
Yes.
other things that got damaged in the flood. And so since we haven't gotten those delivered yet, that's why this one, I think, there will be a significant, if not all of that, will be reimbursed.
It'd
by
be good to
insurance.
clear up their
Yeah.
books, at least for the end of the year.
Yeah, we're trying to.
Reimbursement later.
Yeah,
Oh.
and
Clear it for
Always-
both of us.
Yes.
I was approached by several over the weekend about these items, and just, we're still in negotiations with the insurance companies. They,
Yeah.
no reason to believe that it will not be paid for, but we have to pay their bills first up front from Wichita County Fund.
Yep.
To be reimbursed.
Yeah, to the point Commissioner Kincaid made of working with Cheryl, and we're at the point we needed to get them paid to
Sure.
to move it
Yeah.
along, and we'll still work with insurance on the back end too.
Yeah, far too long.
Motion to approve.
And
Second.
I still got
Oh,
some
okay.
clarification. I don't know what I'm looking at when I look at the maintenance expenses.
Oh,
item
on line
three.
3?
It appears that everything we sell gets expensed to us through the city of Wichita Falls. If we collect any money, if any property is sold, we give it all to the city of Wichita Falls. And there's no itemized statement of any work done on those properties, just the amount of money always equals the amount that we sell.
I don't have any extra information besides what the city's in over and what's in the backup.
And on the spreadsheet, what is she showing us on that spreadsheet? That highlighted amount is, that amount of property we sold?
I'm not sure, Commissioner. Be happy to take it off this week. if you'd like to ask
No,
questions.
I mean, it's always, it's just normal protocol, but I just
So-
didn't understand it, and I'm not used to seeing those. They don't come through frequently, so.
That 8.6, the highlighted column, the subtotals, is that bid amount, less the filing fee resale, less the city maintenance secure, and then the reimbursement city. So that subtotal is the math matter.
Do you know, Cheryl, how they get to that fee on,
These all look like standard filing fees with courts.
It looks like you're probably gonna have to add up all those fees and the maintenance fees for the city.
Yeah.
You know,
no, that's okay. Okay.
And I'm not
And
sure,
I can
Commissioner.
call Pat and get her to walk me through there. It just, the city's expense is the same amount, it appears to be, of the property we sell. And If that's the case, then there's nothing to be had, but, you know, there was a property in question from 2022 that we agreed to a sales price on, and we more than likely have deeded it over to the city. And in this instance, if that is the case, I don't know why we hold those to begin with, and we don't just deed them over to the city if that's what our policy is. I just don't know what the rules that regulate this agreement with the city of Wichita Falls looks like.
Yeah, I'd have to pull the interlocal, I don't know.
So does the maintenance amount become what the property brings?
I think so.
I think in every case.
No, not always, because sometimes, let's say you're demoing a house on a property,
Oh, yeah.
they might have $20,000 worth of expenses and turn around and sell that lot for $1,500. They write that off, they strike that off,
Well,
to get it back into circulation, but
but
that's not
that's
what
my
it sells
point. Is
for.
that not the way we're arriving at
Must
at the cost?
To
If
some
it-
extent.
Whatever it brings, in other words, there's no need in building a building a deficit or something. I mean, that'd be my thought.
They're quite often in the hole though.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know. That's a good question though.
Well, I'll see if I can find that agreement. And
The expenses seem to be what the property brings.
Right.
So I assume that's done on purpose, but I don't know that for sure.
The only reason I say that is I've purchased
You've
some of them in
hauled
the past years, and the expenses are a lot higher than what I gave for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to pull it down, Jim?
no.
Then still, same motion.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Kincannon and seconded by Commissioner Beecham to approve the consent agenda. Do we have any other questions or comments on the agenda for the motion? All right, the motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. That takes us to general business and item number 1, which is review and approve regular bills for payment, verify payroll taxes have been filed, and order county treasurer to disperse payroll and/or bills within 72 hours by U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, or electronically, unless directed otherwise, or may be picked up and ledgered in the treasurer's office.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Kincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham to approve the motion, to approve the item. Do we have any questions on the item or the motion? All right, the motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Item number 2, discuss, consider, and/or take action to allow the county judge to enter into negotiations with Westlake Pipe and Fittings Corporation regarding the Chapter 312 County Tax Abatement Agreement for a plant expansion project. So I'm going to ask Darren Fredrickson and Damon Gear to come up. While they're making their way up here, I'll just briefly introduce it. So it's probably everyone on sitting up here is seeing the City of Wichita Falls took action last week to approve an economic incentive proposal for a new expansion project that Westlake is talking about doing. Both of these gentlemen wanted to come today and fully brief the court on what the exciting things that they're talking about doing. And then I'm also asking for the court to give its blessing and support behind entering negotiations for an abatement, but I'll talk about that after they talk. I'll turn the floor over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Damon Gear with Westlake Corp. Just a quick, brief summary of the potential expansion project. It would very good be, we're investing $134 million, would invest $134 million at the location that we're at currently, just to the vacant land to the right of it. If we do pick the site, it'd also bring 50 new jobs to the area, and while we retain the 69 jobs that are currently at the plant. Right now, I'll leave it at that, and I'll let Darren speak real quick.
No problem. Appreciate everyone listening to us this morning and allow us to come. Yeah, the expansion would roughly double the capacity of the plant and obviously ensure good jobs for a long period of time. We're open to looking at all the different ways and possibilities where it's a partnership on the abatement process. We do not want this to be a one-side leaning opportunity, and look forward to the opportunity, hopefully, of getting to work through that with you.
And How many jobs potentially, Dr. Martin? 50 jobs.
And it would also retain the original job at the existing land, that was 16.
And I
What was
slipped
that?
me, what was the prior name of the,
North American Pipe.
North American.
excuse me, North American? And that, how long's it been there?
The
Do you
plant,
know? Yeah.
it's been there for a while. It's been
That's what I was wanting to say.
Established.
That
It's been
plant,
established and it's gone through different names. We just changed the name to Westlake Pipe and Fittings. Before that, it was Lasco.
my reason for asking, and the reason to show was that plant's been there a long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's great for our county and our city to be looking at retention and expansion of
Existing business.
existing corporations, companies, large companies in our area, so I do appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So what's the average pay on the new jobs added?
The average pay would be 60,000.
60,000? So that's a very, very good paying position,
Right.
so.
Yes.
Skills necessary?
Skills are necessary. They're operating, anywhere from operating to, machinery, equipment, mechanical, that type of work.
Yeah.
And that pipe is extruded at the plant?
Exactly. It's extruded and it's shipped off from the plant. You might see the trucks around here.
Yeah.
I know I have.
We were just talking about that this morning, when we leave meetings, that we are following the trucks out
Yeah.
there. Yeah, so it's good.
Now, the expansion, what is that, professional drive that comes in behind you, or what's the name?
Industrial.
Industrial.
drive.
Yeah.
Industrial, will you move to the south of Industrial Drive with the expansion?
I'm trying to get mine.
So
All
if
on
you,
the-
if you
all
think
on the
about
north.
where the plant sits now,
Yeah.
you've got the old lumber yard on the back side of the property and all that. The new plant would be where the old lumber yard and that part would be.
Okay.
And
Comes out
then,
toward the loop then.
yes, sir, and then on the other side, and what's vacant now would be warehousing and logistics.
Okay.
Great.
Will y'all cross the road at all going south across the industrial?
Yes, that's what he's talking about.
There's
the
a-
warehouse
that's a large-
and
that's a
yard
large area
logistics.
Yeah, there's potential to be a shipping area there in warehouses.
And it's a good fit, good traffic flow, good access. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
And already been working with the city on the flow.
Yeah.
And what about the railroad crossings, or are you gonna
We're-
utilize those or utilize industrial?
We're gonna utilize industrial, but we are adding to the spur to add for 6 wheel cars.
Your resin
Okay,
comes
for-
in
for use
by
for rail-
railroad.
okay, Awesome.
Yes.
So you've got an offload facility, or, a take-on facility right there. Now that just, it's a couple of cars, it's where, if you look at the plant where the pipe is stored on the left, and this would take that and move that across the road and give more rail car space there.
Great fit for the area.
It's just,
Absolutely.
it's one of those nice things where it's not, you're not moving into someone's backyard, you're already
Yeah.
there, able to expand on what you have.
Long time ago, we had some discussions about the fact that would be a perfect place to expand that industrial, I say, call it industrial park, whatever, out back there, there's open property and all, so it's a good fit. It's a good fit.
And I noticed those warehouses may be open at what was a very long-standing business in Wichita Falls, Watercrafters. Right there at the mouth of Industrial off of Beverly.
Yeah, that's across the loop though, isn't it?
Another side.
It's on both sides, and it's on three
Both sides
sides.
of, both sides of Beverly, but it's east of the loop left.
Yeah, east of the loop that goes back there anyway.
Yeah,
Logistically, you'd have a road crossing you'd have to deal with there.
And you've got plenty of space, because all that land right now in the south is yours, correct?
Correct, yeah. And then we have approached the city and requested the reinvestment zone. Because it's in the city limits, we would not be requesting a reinvestment zone from the county.
Yeah. And for our purposes, the reason would be negotiating for a 312 agreement is they are looking at alternative sites in Arizona and Canada. Is that correct?
Right now, yeah, we're still in the planning phases, so everything's open to discussions at the moment.
I like the idea of 50 new jobs in Wichita Falls more than I do in Canada.
Yeah,
I hate to be that way,
Anywhere else for that matter.
Or anywhere else.
Those are good paying jobs, great for the economy. This could be a home.
And as this progresses, not trying to get ahead of myself, but if there's questions, or there's anything from the company standpoint, that would obviously be Damon. For myself, if there's anything with the tax part of it, how it would be looked at, what would be included, all that sort of thing. We can get you taken care of.
It's going to be my intention to work pretty actively with them over the next couple of weeks to hammer out what looks like a good agreement, and then to bring that up for public hearing to meet our posting requirements, and then get that before the court for the final.
The corporate decision we need to get the package in, the corporate decision has to be made by February 12th, is that correct? Correct. The board meeting, so we want to have our best foot forward for this project when that decision's made.
I'd make a motion that we allow the county judge to move forward with negotiations.
Second that. Tell Canada we have better weather.
Thank you very much.
See,
Thank you all very much.
we're excited when jobs show up because we never know how long we're gonna be here.
Ron, thank you for coming, and
Well, yeah, so I was about to invite Ron and Vicky to come up. I don't know that we need a lot of convincing up here. But in all seriousness, is there anything you'd like to come up and say about the project?
No, just that, to convey the city has,
Yeah, come on.
to convey the city has fully supported the project, and they intend to support it with up to 1.175 million, utilizing cash for jobs at $7,500 per job, reimbursing $50,000 in permitting, and a 3-year forgivable loan of $750,000. And per the new policy, those will all be retroactive, so the company will spend their money first, and then they'll get reimbursed for those dollars. So, and why I'm here are our mobile home project. They're moving equipment in today.
oh,
So it's going forward as well. So I got good news all around. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ron.
Well, I tell you, it's always good to, help a going, moving business that's already established and moving forward. That's
Yep.
just such a great opportunity.
Yeah.
We love it when we have that kind of opportunity to step ahead.
Absolutely.
All right, well, I've got a motion by Commissioner Mahler and seconded by Commissioner Beecham to allow the county judge to enter into negotiations for an abatement agreement on this plan expansion project. Do you have any other questions or comments on the motion or the item? All right, the motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. All, thank you very much for coming. You're welcome to sit and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
All right, I'm going to move things around just a little bit due to the need to, our treasurer's got somewhere else he's got to get to. So this time, what's on here is number 6. I'm going to bring up received report of money received and dispersed, debts due and owed by the county, and all other proceedings in the treasurer's office for the month ending November 30th, 2023, from Stephen Jones, Wichita County Treasurer, as required by Texas Local Government Code, Section 114.026.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got one. Unless it's changed.
Hasn't changed.
Okay.
Anybody else wants a copy? Super excited about the treasurer's report. And I've got a PowerPoint to go along with it, to make it more fun. Are we running or projecting?
He should be.
There we go.
There it goes.
I hear music. Is that associated with it? Okay.
Okay, whoever does another one's
I
got
had
to
too much
talk.
fun.
You had some spare time?
Yeah,
I need to give you
I had a couple minutes. Okay, moving on.
I think you should have come in with Ric Flair's robe.
Oh, next Bible.
Well, I did notice that Walmart's now selling Snoop Dogg robes, so I'm probably gonna.
Okay.
No, negative, negative.
I would guess that you're feeling more comfortable at giving these presentations?
A little bit.
Okay.
It's not even chemically enhanced this morning. We're good.
All right.
Okay, that said, American National Bank accounts, and you guys have a more detailed version of this than the PowerPoint. It just would make it too small to put the whole thing on the PowerPoint. A couple things on here. It's not showing me my notes. you know?
See, you got too comfortable.
Ouch.
Hubris.
It should be doing, am I not casting it correctly?
Well, it's just gonna show whatever your screen shows.
Yeah,
Well, I had it working on my monitor.
Slideshow. Yeah, without it being on a separate
I
monitor.
was just gonna show this.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I have to remember what I wrote. It's sketchy. Okay. Let's just see what circles. Okay. The money markets went down quite a bit. That's because we paid $8.5 million of LPPF money. So that wasn't actually our money that went out, a majority of it. So our overall balance went down quite a bit, but that's largely LPPF money. I don't think there's anything else on this one. Our interest rate went up a little bit. It went up 0.05%, I think, in the money market. So we're still gaining there. For our taxable accounts, and y'all can interrupt me anytime you got a question. The first one was these two that went down quite a bit. CSCD and GEN went down quite a bit. That's mainly because we had 3 payrolls that paid in November. And the exciting thing about that one is that in GEN, payroll is roughly 1.5 million. We had 3 paid and only 3 million went out of tax pool to pay it. So we actually brought in more than we have been. I have been having to pay most of it straight from tax pool savings, but we brought in enough in November that I only had to pay 2 of them out of that. So we're doing better there. ARPA, we had quite a bit, and that one really doesn't have any income, so all of it gets paid out of there. So the 3 payrolls came out of that, and then we had 3 big expenses in ARPA. In my notes, so I'm trying to remember. We had a
It was radios related.
there was an EMO radio project. There was AV equipment for
The
courtroom.
towers, the larger towers.
Okay, yeah, and video conference system.
Yeah.
And then we did have some direct money come in, so CSCD and TJPC are going up a little bit. The big one right there for me is the debt service went up. Our balance is all the way up to $1 million there, which is exciting because January 2nd, we're paying out about $1 million.
squirrels just ran out of my head. It's like, what?
Out of debt service, and we have that in savings now. So we're not crossing our fingers hoping that the tax money's gonna start coming in to pay the debt service. We're cleared to pay it on January 2nd. So that one, to me, I was excited about that one. We have some updates. As of December 8th, so this, as of Friday, debt service, we brought in tax money almost $250,000 already. And general fund, 2.2 million has come in. So that tax money we've been waiting on is starting to come in. So we can stop feeling kind of antsy about that. And that's why this one is looking pretty scary since May. We've been paying out and we haven't had much coming in. So you can see the big drop here. All the way from May down to November. And again, the big drop in November was because of LPPF. But we've had several things and it's been kind of scary. But again, with the update, it's starting to go up. General fund, major expenses. This does not include payroll, which is just off the charts and everything. But the reason behind, well, we paid $670,000 to Core Health is because since, what was it, Margaret? August? That they've been holding on that check?
Yes.
Since August, they've had a $335,000 check that we've had to reissue twice that they just have lost or not cashed. So finally, in November, they cashed it. So we actually paid 2 of their invoices in November, but one of them was from forever ago. And Margaret tilted at that windmill forever.
It took forever, and then now I finally got their direct deposit redone, because they were EFT information. So hopefully that won't be an issue anymore, but it was a mess for a while.
So thank you for that, because she fought that dragon forever trying to get them to cash it. And it makes it look pretty skewed here that we paid $670,000 in 1 month, but that's because it was 2 checks. You guys know more about this one than I do. Most of these were fairly small, other than payroll and transfers. So expenses were down in November for most of the precincts. What's next? Okay, long-term debt. Again, everything's been paid for 23 for a while, I think since September. And then our 24 payments, we've got that one in January that we're still excited is going to get paid. And then that'll be the end for TCCU. We'll be done with it.
And so at that point, this is something that came up in our town hall in Wichita Falls. So on January 3rd, the only debt that the county will have will be LEC.
The LECC, yeah, the LEC bond. We'll pay that until my daughter's and granddaughter is in college. But, so anyways, other than that, all we have, like you said, is the LEC. We'll be done with TCCU. And our next payment will be till November or March, so hopefully we'll be caught up there. We're already a fifth of the way with that in the bank. So
That's a heck of an accomplishment, guys.
Yeah.
It really is. That puts us in a position that we can take care of business. That's good. That's a good thing.
yeah, anytime we can see long-term debt go away, that's a good thing.
You bet.
And that's it.
My only thing on this, Stephen, would be appreciate the update on tax revenues coming in. Love to see that for the December, January until we get through the main big cycle, just so that we have that number fresh at hand.
Yeah, I was waiting. I thought we would have another one come in on Friday, and it didn't. So I'm sure there'll be one in the next day or two.
So you did indicate to me last week that our investments were finally in
Yes.
policy.
On Saturday this week, our weighted average maturity will be 1.9978, which is below.
We've been within policy for a little bit, for about 6 months.
It's rounded a little over. But,
Yeah.
2.5, isn't it?
Yes.
Was it two?
oh, I was thinking it was 2.
No, it's
Yeah.
2.5.
Oh, yeah, we're
Below
low.
two. Okay.
Well, then I'm excited about nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the first time.
No, it's good. It's good to have that number.
No,
Yeah, it
we-
is. That's a good number.
Yeah, we've done a really good job of getting
How,
that in.
how long, and maybe we get a presentation from Murphy or Century, but how long before we can do anything on that LEC bond?
Oh, it was a ways out. I think the last I'd heard was it was almost 10 years before we could do anything with it, and so
And we're like not even 5 in? Or
yeah,
just-
we're not even 5 in.
We got 24 years before it's paid off. So
But we can do a refinance essentially. I think about 10 years is where I recall that
Okay,
being.
I
But,
think that's-
We may need 5 years before refinancing looks
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And that's right, because when we got it though, we got it at a very high interest
Oh.
rate. We kind of got, our bond rating really wasn't where it needed to be due to a lot of factors.
yeah, you've been
That we
working on
can't
that
do
for a
any-
long time.
huh?
You've been working on that for a long time.
I have been, because part of what goes in is not filing your ACPR on time, not getting those awards from GFOA, not having clean books, our grants, everything is tied together. And so our bond, our interest rate was 5%. When it was 0, you know, that's a lot, but now 5% looks
huge.
great.
Yeah, 5 was huge at that
Yeah.
time.
That's right,
Yeah.
and that's largely due to some things not getting done in other offices that have an impact, and you don't realize that they have those, but they,
Right.
that's a 5% on $70 million, that's a
Yeah.
lot of money.
Yeah.
It is. It's
Any other questions for Mr. Jones?
good.
Thank you for the presentation, sir.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you for the report. We just need to sign it. Is that correct?
Nancy has that.
Okay.
And you can send that to me this afternoon or whenever. Thanks.
All right.
We
Thanks,
don't even
sir.
have to use our proclamation van.
All right. So this time, let's move to what's on there is general business number 3, which is discuss, consider, and/or take action on the amount of mandatory payments that Wichita County Commissioner's Court intends to require from local hospitals in fiscal year 2024, and authorize the county judge to sign a resolution setting the mandatory payment rate for the Wichita County Health Provider Participation Program. So we talked about LPPF just a little bit ago, and so Mr. Pert, Bob Pert is here, and Bob, if you wouldn't mind explaining where we are. I know we've done this on a regular basis, but it's always so good to see you in court.
Absolutely. Well, we want to start with thanking everybody for the support that we've had over 5 years with this program. Commissioner's Court, the judge, also auditors, the county auditors and treasurer. We appreciate the help that they have helped us along the way. It's very much appreciated. These are very important funds to our organization, and very appreciative of your support. A little background on this program, started back in 2019. That's to be our 5th year of doing this. Basically approved by the state legislature at that time period, supported by Representative Frank. Got approval for the renewal of this program for 24, again with the representation of Representative Frank, so very appreciative of that. As it relates to the mechanics of the program, basically this is a program where this fee, this assessment is applied to the local private hospitals across Texas. This is not just a Wichita County, this is across all Texas. Those funds are levied by private hospitals. Those private hospitals pay into the LPPF, Local Provider Participation Fund. Those dollars are then requested from time to time from the state. The state takes those funds and transfer those to the federal government. Federal government matches those dollars and brings the additional dollars down to our community. Texas is one of 10 states doing this. Other states have already expanded with the Accountable Care Act, so ACA. So the other 40 states don't go through this self-funding process of bringing down outside dollars from the federal government. This is kind of where we're at. Today we're requesting, per the resolution, to authorize the county to issue this assessment, net patient revenues on the local private hospitals. I've talked to all the local hospitals, and we're all in agreement for the continuation of this program. Open for questions or comments that you may have.
Do you, Bob, audit the dollars that are on behalf of, those dollars are specific to United Regional or to Kel West, or right, as far as what's paid in, what's matched, and what's coming back?
We look at what's going out, right? So
As a whole or individually from what you paid in?
we know what we pay in individually. What comes back, I see what comes back to myself. I don't see others.
Right, but you do watch that to make sure
Sure.
that
Sure.
formula is
At
paid
the end of the
correctly to
day,
you.
it's a positive for everyone.
Now, the 6%, how does that compare to what it was previously?
It was, I think, 4.6, and again, we're doing this at one time as opposed to breaking it up a little bit, but that's a little bit higher. So in theory, that's a little bit of good news, but the matching is not quite as great as it's been in the past. But there's some additional dollars that are coming in associated with that. So, yes.
Okay, I'll make the motion. We move forward with the LPPF program.
Second.
And the fee's not terrible either.
No.
All right, we've got a motion from Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Kincannon, to authorize the county judge to sign a resolution setting the mandatory payment rate at 6%. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the item itself? All right, motion before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Bob, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And again, appreciate your leadership. And these are vitally important funds for our community. So thank you again.
Thank you, Bob. All right. That means we're on general business item number 4, which is discuss, consider, and or take action to adopt a building maintenance and housekeeping uniform policy. Commissioner Beecham, do you want to introduce this, or does Ricky want to?
I can.
Okay.
The reason for this is Ricky had become disillusioned with the service that we were receiving from our uniform company that did the laundering, and provided the uniforms. The quality of the product that we were getting back on a weekly basis, let's say it was less than to be desired, and guys were having to basically do it themselves anyway, so we were paying for a lot that we weren't getting. Right now, I think we pay for $2,600 a year for our uniform contract. I think that's the figure you gave me. Yeah. So,
$92 a week or something.
That's the double bill.
How many people?
That 26 seems cheap, Mark. I bet
That's
it's
not including Ricky.
that's not good.
That's just 3 people?
That's just 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was thinking to say, that's not all housekeeping and maintenance.
No.
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 No, and I also don't think that that's all, I could be wrong with speaking out there, and didn't it have some mops or something on it too? I can't look at it right now, the systems, but it's not just, that bill is not just their uniforms, I don't think.
Yeah, so with that, pricing is also like dust mop heads and,
mats.
wipe, paper towels for cleaning. But that's pretty much it. And so what we're looking at is just maintaining the dust mops and the microfiber towels, keeping that part of the service. And, because that's something we need, and we don't want to be able to wash those at home, because we don't typically do that. But as far as the uniforms, is just taking care of them ourselves and just maintaining them ourselves.
So,
And
we have an opportunity to buy out the current uniform, which is 14 shirts and 11 pair of pants.
16 shirts and
16
11 pants for 3 employees. I buy my own pants, and my shirts were, I believe they were bought out early in the process.
And then provide that same level of uniforms, 7 each, to any new incoming employees. We currently have 2 short in the building maintenance department.
We actually buy them a set of
buy them a
shirts.
set. Yeah, with the current 3 employees that received uniforms, that's about 2 years worth of uniforms that we'd already have in stock that they could have. So we issue them 7 at a time. Working with Cheryl's office, this was determined the best way in order to do this and do it properly within our RS code. So is to have a uniform policy where we issue uniforms they still belong to Wichita County.
Yeah.
So that's the reason behind it.
So employees leave.
They'll be responsible for returning them or paying a prorated fee.
So right now, we don't have an accurate figure of what we're spending a year on uniforms or what we're going to spend a year on uniforms. Right now, we don't have anything number-wise to look at, right?
That's correct, because I'm not sure what additional uniforms will cost. We have already budgeted for uniforms for the housekeeping ladies, I believe, in their department, and some for maintenance, because we were already paying Aramark, so.
And the only reason I bring that up, it's hard to vote on something when you don't know what you're comparing to.
Right.
I don't mean that to be, I'm not being mean in any, but I just don't know what we're actually spending a year on uniforms right now compared to what we're actually gonna spend a year on uniforms in the future.
How does that, so there's no way to tell how that compares to the uniform dollars allowance at the sheriff's department?
So the sheriffs get $500 a year for their uniforms.
It wouldn't be near as much.
It won't be near that amount.
It's a totally different price range though for comparing shirt to shirt.
Yeah.
And is the housekeeping, they're going to be under this same program where we're gonna own those uniforms, they're gonna take care of them?
They currently are right
They
now,
are.
actually.
Okay, cause they look always, y'all all look sharp
Yeah, they're
all the
already
time.
taking care of their own. We just had a couple on the Aramark. I guess, and Aramark has gone downhill over the years. I deal with them in a private company, and their service has not been up to par. The uniforms come back dirty or wrinkled still. So you pay for a service that
I'm
you're not
not
actually
amended.
getting.
Yeah.
And we can set that uniform cost of allowance per person in the next budget. So this will get us through this upcoming budget year. There's 2 years worth of uniforms for those 3 employees. We just have to cover 2
But this
Two
is,
employees.
yeah, more like a policy, and we can always come back with a dollar figure that allows the expense. This allows us to do this without having to tax the employee.
So,
That's the purpose
and
of the
we do
policy.
have.
The purpose of this
Absolutely.
policy is providing them with a uniform without taxing them.
So to answer your question on what we're spending on uniforms, just uniforms, it's $1,435 a year.
For 3?
For the maintenance of them.
And that's for the maintenance staff.
Well, that's to use their.
Just use them, they're
Yeah.
washing them supposedly weekly and
Supposedly.
And actually, what happens right now, I have one person that's actually turning in shirts to get washed because nobody wants them back whenever they wash them in a vat of whatever it is, and you get it back and it eats your skin up. They're just not comfortable, that's what I'm saying. But, so that's where a lot of this plays in too. And, you know, one of the big deals that kind of spurred a lot of this as well was the previous route driver was having their guys' pants pressed, right? So they were getting starched jeans and they looked really good. They did that for almost 2 years. Well, then whenever he left, that process stopped. So then they were bringing pants in that were looking like they were coming out of the back of a Volkswagen, which Volkswagens are really neat cars. But you can pack, there's not a lot of storage, so that's where I'm going with it. So anyway, clothes hamper type garments, and so that kind of what spurred a whole lot of this, and I just thought there's a better way. There's gotta be a better way, and we can probably save some money for the county as well. That was the goal.
We're not voting on, my question was, we're not voting on any money today.
We're not voting on
So,
any money, we're just
that's, okay.
setting the policy so we can move forward
Right.
with the cost.
Because, yeah, and again,
Yeah.
had to do it this way because couldn't figure out, to comply with the IRS rules, a way to provide uniforms for our folks without them taxing them for it. This is a way to achieve that. And is that
That's
fair?
correct. That's pretty much in a nutshell.
And this will also identify our housekeeping and anybody temporary as well for security purposes.
Well,
And that does keeping with the upcoming security plan that we're working on elsewhere in the county.
the reason I bring this up also is my precinct guys have also approached me about uniforms. So they tend to go through stuff a little bit more so than building maintenance as far as damaging clothes. Sometimes it's better to have a uniform service
And
that'll
sometimes
eat
that
the
is
cost of that.
true, because, like with Aramark, usually there's an insurance fee basically that's built in. So if a uniform is damaged or whatever, it's replaced because you've already paid the insurance on it.
Right.
I have seen Aramark, go downhill over the last year or two with,
And I think theirs not coming from Airmark anyway. Theirs was
Uniforms.
yeah.
UniFirst.
Oh, yeah, but similarly, Aramark, Uniforms, a lot of it depends on who your driver is and what service you're gonna get, so as that changes. But we have gone over and over and over the bills with Ricky. We spend hours and hours detailing through their bill. It's always wrong. I don't think we've gotten a bill right from them.
We've actually got a few right recently.
Oh, okay.
Recently,
Where's Steven's music? Yay!
Well, I'd make the motion, we move forward with the adoption of the building maintenance and housekeeping uniform policy.
All right. We've got a motion by Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Beecham to adopt the building maintenance and housekeeping uniform policy. Do we have any other questions or comments on the motion or the item? All right, motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. General business item number 5, discuss, consider, and/or take action to amend court order 22.1227.930 to read, to create a part-time intern position and a new line item in the Public Defender's Office 2023 budget with a salary determined by the Public Defender to pay according to the balance in the budgeted intern account. close quote. David, you want to come up and talk about this one?
Yes, Judge.
So as some of y'all predicted, 15 an hour wasn't quite enough to lure law students. Good enough for undergrads, and I can pay a little less than that if they're local undergrads, providing me some work product with fact memos and scanning and that sort of thing that needs to be done. But for law students in particular, especially third-year law students, which the primary purpose of this internship was to lure applicants, employees, lawyers specifically, to Wichita County and then the Public Defender's Office. But just Wichita County in general would be nice. It's not quite enough to pay to be honest to live here for a short amount of time. So I'm asking for the flexibility to go over 15 an hour as necessary within the budgeted amount, which for 2023 was $8,000. For 2024 is $6,000 total for the year. So I'm asking moving forward. I think, as the judge pointed out to me this morning, that appears to just be about the 2023 budget, and I think that's because the original order was referencing 2023. But moving forward, I would like to have the flexibility to go above the 15 an hour.
The 24 budget does not have an hourly rate attached to it, so this won't even be applicable for 24. So
I've got somebody coming in December
So.
who is a third-year law student who actually applied for a job, but I can't hire her until, or if she's a good applicant, but until or if she graduates, which would be in May. So I'm hoping though that she's got a real good resume. Any defense firm is going to hire her that can hire her. And if I can get her in, I was surprised to hear her reach out to me about coming down here, and I'd like to be able to pay her enough to be here and be happy for the week that she's here, so that when she leaves, she comes back.
15 an hour is what we typically pay housekeeping when we have a temporary, so.
Yeah, for a lawyer.
For a third-year law student, yeah, it's a little.
And definitely to y'all's credit, some of y'all predicted it. I can't remember who, but some of y'all predicted that was not going to be sufficient.
What?
Well, to be honest, for this one coming in at 25 an hour is what I was going to pay. For 1 week, that's $1,000.
And you're gonna have to pick the week too, that's gonna be.
Well, it's supposed to be next week, so I'm sure y'all recognize these.
It could be a blizzard, or it could be.
It was supposed to be this week when I was supposed to be in trial,
Yeah,
but that
that's
got
not
moved.
too bad
so
this week.
the trial got moved.
Yeah, I'd make the motion, we move forward with that.
Judge, do you think it needs any amendment?
I don't, because we are,
Nope.
A, we're just changing that old court order, and then B, as Cheryl just pointed out, we didn't have an amount in 24, so you're free to use up to your budgeted amount for 24.
And David, I've got a question.
Yes.
Then, is there any work under something similar, and maybe any potential dollars for pre-law students that you can utilize at all?
So we have utilized this year for criminal justice majors from MSU, paying at a rate of either 15 or potentially less than that per hour. I can't remember exactly how much I paid, but right somewhere in there, that or less, for undergraduate students, which makes sense if they're locals, they're already living here, they already have a place to stay, they're just working for experience, and also their work product is rather limited if they're non-lawyers. If they're third-year grad students or third-year law students, that work product they give me is actually very useful in saving me time in trying cases. I mean, depending on the quality of the person, but I still am using some of the stuff that Nolan, I think, who's in Oklahoma City right now, was working on with us here a little while back. So I'm still using some of that stuff for some of my capital murders. So they do good work that saves me time if they're law students. Undergraduates are more grunt stuff. I can use them for scanning as well as kind of shadowing us and trying to get them.
But there is that work.
Yes, yes, there is.
A student would have to be of what age?
Well, I'd want them to be adults, but
18 years of age?
18 or up is what I could, there's no restriction, but I'd be uncomfortable somebody less than that, mostly because honestly the subject matter that we deal with is rather,
So you
some
think
people,
an undergrad in college?
yes, it's adult subject matter.
So you're not hiring Doogie Howser.
I've had some undergraduates. In fact, Shawnee, who unfortunately just left us, developed a real good relationship with the MSU professor, I think, in psychology. So Shawnee was our our mental health, essentially a coordinator within our office. And she developed a real good relationship with one of the psychology professors out there who has sent unpaid interns for us this last year who did some good work back there in the mental health division. And we're going to continue that program ideally. Apparently they loved it. The professor loved it because they actually got work in, and they actually got exposed to people. And that kind of thing.
But I think that if we had the work and we could solicit the students that are, like you say, from here anyway, and encourage them to go on and pursue that career, it can only benefit us, because by not having them, we see the difficulty that's created when there's no interest.
Right.
And plenty of others are doing things of interest, whether it's nursing programs or whatever, to encourage that. And so we should be doing.
Do we have any idea like how many undergrad students there are at the MSU that are going to apply for law school?
That would be a good number for me to know, and I don't. I don't know that number off the top of my head.
If we even had any reference to that.
I don't. I mean, I know that most of the lawyers we have here are from here. You're right. Most of the lawyers we get are returning locals. Scott, Dustin, pretty much all the ones I know, except for me, who's from Sherman, which is close enough. I would note that we never really, recruiting was not a huge priority before in the last few years. That's because it wasn't a necessity in the last few years. It's not due to it's just it wasn't a necessity. People would apply because people needed health insurance and the pay was less of a concern, and now it's become very competitive. But since then, the DA's office has agreed to go out to a recruiting event with me in Austin, which is the Public Service Career Fair, which is a law school career fair. So they've agreed to send somebody out, and we have a joint posting. So hopefully we'll just start. I've really expanding the net a little bit on just criminal work. Right. Whichever side you need to land on, you'll end up where you need to be. just come this way is kind of the pitch.
Is there local bar support for how do we ever encourage that from a high school level as to going that direction? I remember the school going out to bid and Coca-Cola coming in and paying an enormous amount to set Coca-Cola vending machines, because they said if they can capture them before they're 18, they've got them for life.
And that worked.
So it's nothing that's true. Nothing encourages them more than someone. I was just speaking yesterday about two Iowa Park students that I know would go and do that if someone would encourage them to do that. Otherwise, they get into whatever life comes up with, and that's the path they take, where it just would seems like a good encouraging program of sorts that would get their feet wet.
Well, you'd think if they were exposed to it that
it might be something that
probably a lot of people they just don't think about it.
No, and it's a degree that you don't have to utilize it, but man, does it help you in anything else you do. So
is there a typical area as an undergraduate that you would expect to find a future law student? I mean, would it be?
Yes, but you're going to hate to hear the answer. It's liberal. I mean, it's sociology, psychology, and philosophy, political science. The criminal justice folks don't typically go law because they want to be police officers and So you end up with people who can't do anything else, who get psychology degrees like me.
History majors.
That was me. So I'm just. Hopefully it's a joke for my own making fun of myself, I hope, and no one else in the room. But yeah, people with liberal arts degrees are kind of what we're looking at. I hadn't thought honestly about reaching down to high school. I've been pretty preoccupied just trying to get to law schools, narrow down the focus pretty well, except for the Public Service Career Fair to Tech and the ones in Dallas. So
what's the percentage of people that go to college today that have no idea what their career is going to be?
Still pretty high, I
think.
Still
big,
yes.
Yeah.
And we just listened to a fella on Friday, very intelligent, Marine first for 6 years, put in 15 years with FBI, not as a practicing attorney, carried his degree and was an attorney, and then began to practice after he put in that military time that he retired from. So just
We've
there's
got-
a lot of opportunity there.
A&M, the ex-military guys are a pretty good sell here, to be honest. And so A&M Law School, which is a relatively new law school, it used to be, thank you, Wesleyan, in Dallas, or Fort Worth. They been a very supportive of having us out there. I've been out there twice now in the last year, and so far I've got a couple bites on interns, but not much more than that. But it takes time to build relationships with those folks, and it's just a numbers game at that point. And it's not very far, so I can get out there in a single day. It doesn't interfere with my trial. I've got trial days and court days, and it doesn't interfere with that too much, or I can have people cover to get out there. Same with tech, it's a little farther, but there's a lot of ex-military guys, what I would describe as non-traditional law students who did 4 years in the military and then they went to law school. They're attracted to our area, and they tend to be attracted to our particular brand of public defense. So there's a lot of public defenders' offices that are way more, I guess liberal is the word I would describe, than our office, the feel of it. So a lot of offices are really, really interested in social work, and that doesn't typically attract the ex-military guys. But our office does, because we just work on getting our job done efficiently and well and being proud of what we do. So that lends towards those guys or girls. So yes, I've been focused on those, because I love to cast a broader net, but to be honest, we limited resources, limited time. I can only do so much. High school's a good idea. I hadn't really thought about doing that. I am a little concerned about the subject matter, but there's probably a way to get through that. High school students are exposed to a lot more than I get exposed to on a daily basis, probably.
Well, don't
No,
we have?
I got 2 daughters, so I hope
Don't we
not.
have, Judge, at the
I'm not.
Tech Center, a criminal justice arm? Don't they do
Out at the
something?
CEC.
Yeah, so it could be just even a branch off of that, if we could come up with a decent enough program where they implement to put some of those kids through that side of it, where they're at least exposed and know. And like I'm with Barry, I think we graduate a lot of kids from high school that have no one's pushed them any direction to say, hey, go be a veterinarian, go be an attorney, or whatever the case be. And I think we're well served.
And if they
to
knew
do
that there was a need for that in their own community,
Oh,
they
yeah,
might stay, because there is a need for attorneys in this community.
I haven't decided what I want to do when I grow up.
David, I think your commissioner liaison is offering to develop a program.
I'm all about that work and learn stuff, so I think that would be
Although
great.
I dread in 10 or 20 years having somebody come up to me and say, some lawyer come up to me and say, yeah, you came and talked to my middle school class, and that's when I decided I wanted to be a lawyer. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's coming for you anyway, so you might as well get something good out of the deal.
all right.
And I think that we are going to need to do something 2024, but because of the way that this is just amending an old 22
Yeah,
court
so
order,
I'll put
we'll
it
just
on
do a
next
separate
week's.
item.
I'll put it on next week's
Okay.
for 24.
All right. So we've got a motion from Commissioner Watts that was seconded by Commissioner Beecham to amend the old court order to make this change. Does anyone have any question or comment on the motion or the item? Okay. Motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, and then that takes us to general business item number 7, which is receive update on courthouse renovation, elevator projects, and county courthouse annex. Commissioner Beecham?
There may be a finish line on Wednesday. Yeah, now I jinxed it, but I do have an elevator inspection scheduled for Wednesday.
Yay.
A state elevator inspection?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should
Let's
be
make
the
sure it
final.
wasn't like just somebody.
Should be the final.
This morning it was.
Yeah, should be the final. So we'll see Wednesday. If so, I'll put a bow on it. We'll have a grand opening ceremony or something.
You're gonna hit it with a bottle of
Ride it up and
champagne?
down.
No, it'll break it. So
Yeah.
it'll short it out. We're not doing it.
Mark, when those guys come, or when maybe they're here for that or whatever, but that, our new one wants to clear itself out.
We've already talked about that
Okay.
multiple times, and there's.
It's not bad, but this morning we got on and everybody was just sitting there because they done pushed their buttons. They didn't realize that it all went off and it hit the bottom floor. And so I know it's just programming of some sort.
That's how they're designed to work, though. If you catch it going the wrong direction, it clears out
Yeah.
and then goes back up. That's why I've
That sounds
always.
Well, maybe
Every
that
elevator-
It's
maybe
not
it is.
supposed to be that way, no.
Oh, every elevator I've ever
Well, it
been.
should be, because it's heading down, so it's gonna go to one.
But when you get on it,
All these elevators I ride, you understand.
We're professional elevator
Yes.
well, it may be doing what it's supposed to do. So
No,
that,
I've asked for it to retain the calls.
Until it
Okay.
gets to
Yeah.
the floor.
Till it completes its round trip journey and
I
gets
always-
everybody off.
I always thought that was an anti-Buddy the Elf initiative, so that if you had someone who just kind of did all the buttons, it wouldn't.
But maybe Wednesday. We'll
Good.
keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. Really, the only other major thing is we're still finishing up installing furniture, et cetera, in the tax office. Should be complete with furniture installation today or tomorrow. And
And I know I've been asked this, I was asked this a couple of times over the weekend, and I think Tommy talked about it last week. But just to be clear, even after this first half of the tax office is done over there, they're not, the same business model stays in place. They're not
Correct.
opening up anything new until they
Right.
get the other half done.
they're moving property into
Right.
the tag office temporarily, but everything will be up and operational for, I
Right.
mean, it'll be ready to switch it around once the other side's done, so.
I think too. I saw a note that he sent this morning that he had found a very good buy on storage or shelving stuff, and I told him that if my guys needed to haul it for him, and it was locally here, maybe Sam's, and
Yeah.
needed to go and bring it, that we could bring it over there or whatever. I know that's probably not handy for maintenance or anybody else to do, but we certainly could.
Teamwork.
So
Okay.
that's really about it right now.
All right. Any questions or comments on this item?
Bid opening Thursday for 30th District Court,
Good.
Oh,
this coming Thursday.
okay.
Judge, on or our Westlake,
Mm-hmm.
I just saw this morning, and just this FYI, and I don't know how to go about it, but I noticed there's an opportunity arising in Fort Worth for rail terminal stuff coming north of Fort Worth. And I just wonder, are we outside that beaten path to ever have passenger train come through our area? And what would we have to do that?
I actually saw one going down the railroad track on Walnut Park Road.
Well, what?
They're
I don't
usually
know if it
for
was
staff.
empty or,
Most of them that I've been around are for staff for the railroad, and they'll run them for their workers and staff.
Oh,
I'd never seen it, but that's a couple weeks ago.
Ricky knows.
No,
Oh, I thought you were standing up to.
I was just gonna add on to the project list here at the end. So, an update on the elevator at the annex. So, apparently there's a valve in the elevator that reacts to the fluid, and it's sending the fluid, and the fluid's bypassing as it goes up and down. And so, throughout all of our errors, or some of our errors, they're determining that valve is possibly defective, not working like it should all the time. So they got it warranted, and so now they're just waiting to get the valve. Then they'll put the valve in. Meanwhile, we're running it, and it will shut down sporadically. It's just, we just don't know when. And I thought it was better to go ahead and run it and, have it in service as much as possible, and then obviously we have to reset it when it goes down. But hopefully that happens here pretty quick. So Steven, the technician's been keeping me in touch, as things happen and go along. So hopefully that's taken care of. Also, y'all probably seen James Lane here working on the 3rd floor, installing a large air handler unit. That project went back from 2022, I believe, is when we got that approved in court here. And so there was a building process, and of course, coming out of kind of post-COVID times, things were backed up considerably. So I think the build time on that could have been 9 months, if I remember right. So they did get the unit in and was ready to install, but it was right at the beginning of the heat. You know, we had early summer, so it got hot quick. And so I was just like pushing them back, going, no, let's wait till it cools down to where we can manage the temperature a little better. We can handle cold a lot better than heat, so I was able to push them off until the last few weeks. And then they've been here installing that. There's a little bit to go programming-wise, but it's pretty close to being complete, so.
Yeah, and thank you for getting that information to Margaret, because I was looking through the bills over the weekend and saw a James Lane payment, an extensive one. It was over $75,000, but it dated back to 2022, and so it asked about that. And that was, thank you for getting that info. All right, I really thought he had an answer for you on the train.
Well, I know that trains in themselves can be complicated, but it sure would be a cool thing to even have some small terminal that you catch it either going to the Metroplex or you catch it riding west to wherever it goes. And I don't know, just a great asset to have in our community.
If there was a train going to DFW, it would get used.
Well, sure, it would get used. And we have just a real mixer down on 7th Street there, a lot of ability to merge stuff coming in. I don't know, it just sounded like worth investigating, since they're going to apparently spend some money in Fort Worth for terminal.
Well, and I think that's ultimately going to be driven by who's the operator, who's going to have a train running from here to Amarillo, say, or further west. I mean, I've taken the Amtrak from Austin to Fort Worth and back a couple times. It's
And
great.
it's good.
It's good, but then what are you doing once you get to where you're going? So, I'm pro train. I don't know if they're looking at anything coming out this way, but all right. I think that stretches our courthouse renovation elevator projects and county courthouse annex. So that's as far as it'll go. Anyone have any questions or comments on that item? Okay. It is 11:11 and court is adjourned.